such an impressive duo here. We know them so well. Could they go all the way this time out?
The reigning champs. I mean, they could make it a two-time for this chapter so far. They are playing very well. Individually, they are in top form. And even this major, even week number 3, they actually only played 5 games of competition, yet still managed to get a second place finish, which is absolutely crazy. I know Taysom was having a few PC issues. I think he actually went out for dinner for game number 1. So he actually missed game number 1, yet still managed to get a top 2. This is a sign of a top 2.
Got a little hungry, but came out on top. And what I love about this duo is actually they have some of the lowest solo impact score. And what I mean by that is they're rarely left to clutch it out as solos. This duo has an incredible amount of chemistry. They're very good at playing together, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get the back-to-back acts of champions taking home these grants.
Yeah, you heard it right there. I mean, that's the great thing about them. You said it there. It's like in the end game, they managed to always be there together. The synergy is what it's all about there as well. Right, let's take a look. We've got obviously 25 there. We've got another 25 duos as well here to take a look at. Let's look at our next pairing here, Shamoki and Swizzy. I mean, again, a team that we know so much about and we think could go the way, but why are they potentially going to take the Acts of Champions here to Carter?
Yeah, I mean, this duo has quickly become, coming from Asia originally, one of the most lethal threats on the European region. I mean, every single game they made it to top 5, they got a victory royale. This duo has a solid shot of taking home the grants.
They really do, and they're uncontested Citadel as well. They know the area very well. Even in the weekly qualifiers, they were doing such a good job there. However, during those weekly qualifiers, they didn't quite have as much contestation around them as they do today. So that's definitely going to be a little bit more difficult for them to manage. It could work in their favor, though, however. Of course, they do have extra Storm Surge opportunities with all those teams around them. But if things get a little bit dicey towards the end of the tournament, we could see them getting landed on. But hopefully they'll succeed. They'll succeed. They'll be fine.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully they will.
Hopefully not.
Let's hope not.
One team as well who we've seen such impressive things from in this major as well. Mr. Savage and Vidil. I mean, we know them so well. They had a great start. The first couple of weeks, I think second place, back-to-back there as well. I mean, they have everything. They all the pedigree to go all the way here again to Carter. What's really special for you? Why do you love this duo so much and watching them perform?
Look, what I want to see with this duo is Mr. Savage actually is tied for the most FNCS Grand Final appearances at 15.
Crazy.
But he still has to take one home. He's still missing that Acts of Champions. And with the back-to-back second place finishes in the qualifiers, this could be the season where they get it done.
This is the perfect opportunity for Mr. Savage as well. He's kind of notoriously been contested throughout all the previous FNCS Grand Finals. It's kind of become a meme at this point. It's like, yep, Savage contested yet again. But today, uncontested. Naughty Net, very good drop spot. Playing with FNCS winning pedigree in the deal as well. This duo have very good chemistry. When they make it to that end game, they're looking very, very strong. And I hope that they're able to pull it out today because they were doing very well this season.
Yeah, and having played with so many players across the way as well, you kind of learn everything is an experience every single time. You can bring it all to your game, and maybe this is going to be the one. Let's do another quick look here at other players that are going to be taking part here. I mean, Takata, anyone else who really sticks out? You've got the likes of Cammy and Seti, you've got other massive teams. Who jumps off the page for you?
I want to talk a bit about Cammy and Seti, actually, as now in the Grand Finals, it's a little bit more elimination heavy at 4 points per elimination, and we know how consistent Cammy and Seti play. They're also in an uncontested drop spot, but I don't know if it's going to get the best of them in.
It's difficult for this duo, right? Because, of course, as you mentioned, they're playing very consistently. They didn't actually make it out of opens in week 1 of the competition. So a lot of people had a few question marks over this duo. Will they be able to keep it up and keep up that good form that we've seen from in the past? They have. Week 2, week 3, also very, very solid, very strong. As you mentioned, though, 4 points per elimination might pose a few issues for them. They're not the most aggressive duo. We all know that. So maybe it might be difficult for them. But I have no doubt that they'll get a top 5. Can they win, though? I'm not sure.
Wait and see. I mean, do you think general consensus is here that eliminations are the way to go here? And placing points count for so much here, Takata, but eliminations, you really propel yourself up the leaderboard if you get those.
Look, you need multiple pieces of the pie, right? You can't go just with eliminations. You can't go just with placement. You got to get a bit of both.
It's the combination. It's the combination.
Exactly.
One team which are, we are so synonymous with this competition, who we're really excited about as well, who we love to talk about, and kind of just praise for a moment as well, because we have such high hopes, are Queasy and Vino. Okay, they are a team that everyone, assumes might go all the way in this competition as well. Why? I mean, look at Queasy, some of his stats here, great accolades here. I mean, what makes him such a special player?
I mean, we talk about Queasy so often. We almost talk about it every single show. I think I have dreams about Queasy and Venno during the night because it's always on my mind.
Okay, wait a minute.
all right. But of course, Queasy, with all of his experience leading Venno, of course, 2-time FNCS champion in multiple different game modes, of course, duos and trios. This is a duo that can get it done, particularly with how they're playing.
Look, I'm rowing the boat you're on, Minnie. If I have to take a chance on a duo here, it's going to be Queasy and Vino to take it home.
Yeah, of course. But now, of course, we need to take a look at their off-spawn, their mid-game strategies, because that's what sets them apart. It's the little things that they do that really set them apart from the rest. And we can see them, of course, getting these kinetic blades off-spawn allows them to rotate and be a little bit more split, Takata.
Right, there's 34 chests in the surrounding sphere of Kenjutsu Crossing, and they maximize the efficiency of looting those chests, of securing that capture point while using a shield keg to recuperate their shield, and even securing metal, which is pretty scarce in this side of the map close to the gas station.
Yeah, it definitely is. And of course, we see them actually controlling the teams around them as well. We saw this from Queasy in one of the qualifiers, actually forcing Jalen off of this hill, getting onto that high ground position, which then, of course, he used to his advantage, getting so many Storm Surge tags. And of course, getting those Storm Surge tags early on just gives them that freedom, that flexibility to rotate wherever, however, and whenever they'd like.
And what I love so much about this duo is they're very smart about how they take their engagements. They saw a combat cache appear here, and it instantly went to get it, but a duo made it there first. And instead of going directly in for the eliminations, they stayed a few boxes away, taking shots, trying to do a bit of damage, but not getting overly aggressive. Their main goal of this engagement was just to secure that combat cache.
This just screams confidence to me, because a lot of teams, especially newer teams, will think we have to take these players out to get that Storm Surge, but these guys know we have our Storm Surge strategies nailed. We don't need to get these eliminations. We don't need this loot, because as we see here, yet again, another example, getting a beautiful beam onto Perceive, but they're thinking, no, we're not going to get these eliminations. We're going to focus on the placement. We're going to focus on our positioning, and we can even see them setting up for success in endgame as well.
Yeah, and because of this damage that they got early on, they're the first ones to rotate to the edge of the zone here. And with the spare time, they're always doing something. Here they're fishing, might be able to play heal off later. They are always one step ahead of the game.
Just setting up all of those win conditions throughout that whole endgame. As it happened in this game, Queasy didn't even need to use them because, of course, it was just a perfect positioning, a perfect endgame played out. They went for high as Queasy and Benno does. I don't think we even need to see the rest of this because
we know what happens.
Knows what happens. Everyone knows the story.
Yeah.
But of course, a great performance and a great little tactics that these guys use, the little things that make them different.
Well, absolutely. I mean, obviously, previous FNCS champions, well, both of them in different teams and such. But, thinking about their kind of failures and successes as well, we touched on this last week, but you learn so much from those moments where it doesn't work in your favor as well. And they've had those moments, and they seem to always, it kind of catapults them where they learn from them so well. And that's why they seem every season to get better and better and better to Carter. And they seem like they're primed and ready to go in a great position now.
I mean, that's what Fortnite competitive is about. Adapting, learning from your mistakes, and just learning everything you can from the previous matches. Even going into two-day tournaments like these grand finals, when you have to play day one, Queasy and Vino are going to be seeing what they did wrong, seeing what they can change, seeing what their opponents can do. And I mean, with amazing coach BloodX, they're going to get it done.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, even from previously, they haven't actually won an FNCS yet, so this could be their time.
Will it be their time? Will Queasy and Vino actually do it and go all the way? 12 games is going to tell us exactly who's going to walk with the AXA champions. Now, we touched earlier on about, you guys being electric analysts, lightning. We need to complete the weather front now and introduce a couple of hurricanes to the mix here. Let's bring out our casters. It's Shio Wager 11-2K! Oh,
Give me that. Oh,
wow.
That's what I'm talking about.
That was just spontaneous. It felt organic in the moment. What's going on, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Mate, we've got 12 games for Fortnite here. This is still going.
The longest handshake.
That's why this is special. This is special. Hey, but not awkward. Just embracing it. I'm embracing it. I think that's the great thing about this competition. Obviously, we've got so many great teams. We touched on some of them here as well. Grand Final, 12 games. I mean, what are players you have to do consistency-wise? What do you think is going to happen across the next 12 games?
It is such a tough lobby to play in, right? All the effort you put in this season comes down to here. But the hardest part is you've never played in a lobby this difficult if you're any of the players in this one. Like, you literally have no experience of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And the combination of it is so different too, right? All the people from the surgery that come in, there's some who have so much practice week after week, like we were mentioning, Savage with the back-to-back, Squeezy with the control. It's going to be tough, man.
Yeah, no, it really is. We have so many of our top teams going in uncontested as well. We, of course, have contested drops as well for Mr. Savage. Of course, uncontested. We have Thomas HG Malibuka contested. It's going to be interesting to see how they manage those different situations.
Right, we have all these veterans, but there's also a few first-time grand finalists in the mix today. So let's hope they did their prep, they did their homework, and they're ready for the storm that awaits them.
Look, historically, it's hard for the first time. So, I'll go a bit easy on the first timers this time round.
Yeah.
Okay, well, listen, it's all coming our way here. We have got game one imminent here, but Shio, we'll get you in position in a second here. For you guys watching, 12 games, grand finals, 2 days. Who will go all the way? It starts right here. It's time to brace for chaos. It's time for game number 1.
Hey, welcome to EU's Grand Finals, day number 1. And you know what they say, I never seen two pretty best friends.
7-2K.
Shio Wager, and we're looking really mighty fine. Getting ready for these 12 games.
I'm really excited, Shai. I'm really, really excited because all throughout the week, I've been seeing and talking to different players. All they can tell me about is, I've done this prep, I've been researching this, I've been planning this, I've been watching that team that lands near me, that team that lands near me, figuring out all the different things I can do against them.
Yeah, there's planning, and now it's kind of time for action. This is where nerves get into play, right? It's not just theory crafting, blueprints, it's actual foot on the ground work that players have to do.
Yeah, and a lot of work, right? Because Storm Surge in these lobbies, for one, is a whole different ball game. The difficulty, right? Things you could get away with in Qualify 1, Qualify 2, Qualify 3, you cannot get away with here. You have to be perfect if you want to win the FNCS Grand Finals, and that journey begins now here in Game 1. Shayo, who's it going to be? Who are you looking at and thinking they're going to walk away with it by the end of today?
I got a seesaw with, I think, the entire community and myself, Queasy and Vino on one side, and then a little bit of a pocket pick, Swizzy and Shimoki on the other.
Ooh.
I feel like opposite sides of the map, depending on where the zones go, influences grand finals so heavily. We've seen in the past, sometimes fights have that happen too. Jalen in the box and turns the things around. It's very nice. He gets a nice pickup on a Pachawa at the start of the game.
That is wonderful. A brilliant start for Jalen and Twy, a team that's experiencing their first FNCS final and beating off a very experienced team of Spawn. Onto another big off-Spawn fight will be following Thomas and Malabuka.
This is not a fight, this is a war. One with so much planning, so much back and forth from the weeks all the way to Surge Week with Tooth and Putrick also. Now everyone's up in the business.
And this is a bit of a surprise. If you've watched any competitive Fortnite this season, Racetrack off Spawn is usually one of the most 50-50 fights you get, right? You sort of drop in, land, and it's over. These teams right now, both players, both teams trying to, build up, get some materials, get some loot, to then take a fight maybe, or maybe even disengage. If they both disengage from this and try to play out the game, that would be an even bigger shock.
That's an even bigger show for us to watch tonight. Big thing too for the rest of the lobby. We have so much contestation. Mini and Takata were talking about it. 92 players still up in the lobby. Everyone seems like they're on that disengaged bandwagon.
Understandably, the stakes are so high, right? Of course, we know players are playing for big amounts of prizes, the acts of champions. But if you finish in that top 5 after day 2, you secure a spot to the global championships, and that's where everybody in this lobby really wants to be.
Yeah, last season it was the top 2, stakes even tighter, with the top 5 being up for grabs now. How does that change things? That means top 15 people who are there in Game 11 still have a chance to have huge stakes attached to their name. We'll come right back to that in a second, because looks like Thomas and Malabuka do not want to go the disengaged route. They're looking for angles and fights. Uncharacteristic misses from Thomas on the right side. What a nice angle, though. Shield bubble makes it so that Malabuka has to be forced into the 2v1, but has a high ground position. They kind of have control over this all around. So I don't think Putrick and Tus have match for the moment. It's Thomas and Malabuka in control.
Yeah, and I think the tough thing about this battle, Shai, was that, you look at this battle and you think, okay, good, maybe Thomas and Malabuka win this one and they go on to have a decent game. But the nature of this fight here just means it can swing either way. And I think over the course of 12 games, it's probably going to be somewhat even. Some people I've seen even predicting Putrick and Tus to win more times than not off Spawn, and I can definitely see that happen. It happened before in previous qualifying weeks.
That was a 4-2 overall. And even if they do win this little bit of a fight, cycle of life, Predator becomes the prey. They have Shakos and Skydune on the backside looking to see exactly who comes out on top. Looking for a few pot shots, but they're just on rotation. This fight is still going on. Malabuka Thomas stretched for mats in time. A big shot on Natus's head though, as Thomas pressures the back wall. As that stair ended, still held through the wall. Finicky.
Incredibly. Malabuka down makes it so much tougher for Thomas. The combat shotgun isn't going to be the most ideal weapon he wants in this situation, especially with Shakos and Skydune just on his back, taking a look, and yeah, he doesn't even have enough mats to protect himself here. He falls. Malabuka and Thomas down in game 1.
No one really got Thomas's loot just yet, but Skydune's there with the kinetic blade. They just want to get in and get out. They've done their job here so far, just to be annoying. Let's pop up that metal. Let's keep moving.
We talk about teams and their preparation, teams and their surge strats. This is clearly something Skydune and Shakos have had in mind all week long, that they want to be the one to roll into the racetrack fight and look to see if they can pick up some tags, even third party in here in game 1, an ideal situation where they even pick up an limb for it.
On the other side of things, Gabex